from showing the highest form of confidence, going across interviews and podcasts and talking all the time, saying that he's ready for the Madlanga Commission, portraying himself as someone who knows his story, to his testimony being shrunk and destroyed before he even began. It looks like Fadil Adams is about to have the hardest and harshest awakening that Madlanga Commission is way too different from the ad hoc committee.
Give us some insight, Fadil, into your affidavit. What can we expect?
Bombs. Big ones.
Like what?
Let's say that for insight, shall we?
His lies already are starting to be unraveled, because he said that the reason why he submitted his documents late, leading to his case actually the appearance being postponed, was because of his defected laptop. But we are finding out from Parliament that all of that is a lie. Already, this guy's story is filled with a lot of loopholes and lies. This won't end well for him.
Do you now regret working with IDAC in view of the revelations here at the Madlanga Commission?
I do. I am so disappointed at what's happening inside of IDAC. It's obvious. I believe that my cases that I laid were used to settle scores internally. But remember, if you read my email to the minister, the now suspended minister, I didn't ask for IDAC. I asked for an independent body.
On the other hand, we've heard many a times that Khan assaulted somebody. And we thought, maybe something that he's only done himself. But it looks like he's not the only one that is capable of laying his hands on a woman. Padiachi seems like he's also joining the chat and has the capacity and capability of assaulting co-workers. Imagine the audacity.
In that meeting, Mr. Padiachi leaned over the boardroom table, screaming at me, with his finger in my face. And I mean literally, if I moved, he probably would have hit me, or if he could get any closer, he would have hit me that day. And no one said anything. And Mr. Sissoko was chairing the meeting.
In this video, I wanted us to talk about that postponement of Fadil Adams and how Fadil Adams ran away from the Madlanga Commission. Then I wanted us to also look at the testimony of Prosecutor Ramsamy and everything that she spoke about today at the Madlanga Commission. Let us first start with Fadil Adams. So Fadil Adams was scheduled to testify today at the Madlanga Commission. And it was a well-anticipated testimony because a lot of us were looking forward to the testimony, including myself. I wanted to hear what he has to say. And more than anything, is the overarching question that we all have. And that is, who gave him those documents, those classified documents? Does he know the person? Did he investigate, find out who's the person, ask for CCTV footage in Parliament? How did he get that classified information, which is the reason why we hear that we have the IDAC that has turned so rogue, that is actually at the center of attention because of how they failed to take proper procedures, do investigations in relation to the cases that are involving crime intelligence and anybody that is part of the crime intelligence, and the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masamori. You might be asking yourself, how did Madlanga destroy him before he even began his testimony? Why would you say that? Because I have the evidence that Fadil Adams has already started lying. And the exclusive that he had today with the NCA was one of his biggest mistake. And I don't know if he's realized how important and how deep this mistake actually runs, or he has not yet realized that he's made a big mistake by having that exclusive with the ENCA. But because I tell you this, Advocate Chakalaka, Advocate Chaskasen is definitely going to use these exclusive interviews against him during his testimony at the Madlanga Commission to bring across a certain argument that he wants to make.
Fadil, you've always maintained there's a vendetta or people out to get you. Who are these people and what could be the motive?
You ask yourself a very simple question. Who did I lay charges against? Who came to arrest me? Who lied before a magistrate in order to obtain a warrant of arrest against me? All of that's coming out inside. But I have to go inside. Let me respect the commission. As you know, those three are pit bulls and I don't want to be on their bad side. Thank you very much.
So first, it is very important for us to understand what has been said about Fadil Adams, why his testimony is so important. And as I've said in the beginning of this video, it's because of that Section 27 referral, how he got involved in how he went and opened the dockets in 7 different stations, or he has 7 different dockets in 3 different stations. And after like 2 days of non-action, he then goes to the Minister of Police to say there is docket interception. Minister, because we know he's the king of interference, yes, you got it right, he then decided to go and contact the IDAC. Tell the IDAC that please assist my man here. And you know what Fadil Adams and Perumal did? They then did their shenanigans and their shubs that we still want to understand as to what happened in that process. Because what we heard from Rapesu is that that was a useless consultation and that there was nothing in that Section 27 referral that could have allowed for the police, for the IDAC to actually end up arresting those crime intelligence officers.
He gave us the same thing that was in the A1 again.
And in consultation, did you bring that to his attention that you are not telling us anything new? Or
Yeah, if it was in a normal way, I was going to tell him that you're not giving us fuck all. But the problem now is he's an honorable member. So I couldn't have, but just to tell the truth, we went there for nothing.
Fadil Adams has always expressed that, you know, he's the one at the top. He's always been very happy about getting these classified documents. Today, in the exclusive interview, he even said that, you know what, if people have problems, they can just slip the documents under his door and he'll deal with them. Of which we are not shocked. The guy, we just heard that his laptop is not working. So I guess this thing of slipping information under the, you know, under the door, it's normal, because how can you be a member of parliament and your laptop is not working for months?
That you were used.
Now, let me put it to you like this, Pule. I'm here to be used. I'm asking the public, if you know of any malfeasance, any corruption, please put your envelope under my office door.
But were you used? Given the contents of the Section 27 referral, the argument here is that your allegations were weak.
Let me challenge that. Let Drew Ramsamy produce the whole 2.5 hour conversation which she recorded, play it, listen to her comment based on the information before her.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it, she is. I'm telling you that woman lied to this commission and her own recording will prove it. Now,
I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense at all. But that's what is happening with Fadil Adams. Some people slipped the documents, classified documents, in his door, and he got that classified information, never reported to the police. When he was asked, why didn't you report to the police? His answer went around these lines.
When I walked to the police station, I walked from Parliament, I thought to myself, I'm not going to hand these documents to the constable or the sergeant or whoever is going to take the case. Because one of it is marked top secret. Thinking to myself, I'm going to give it to the investigating officer when he contacts me, so we can shorten the line of people that know what's in this docket. But then, when I was tipped off to the fact that my dockets had gone missing, I decided I wasn't going to give it to SAPS. I was going to, well, not right then, but when the IG contacted me, when the IGI contacted me, I decided this is where my information is going to go. And I must tell you, in all honesty, it wasn't because I thought or knew that this was the right place to leave the documents. It was just, I literally wanted these documents off my hands, but I didn't want to give it to just anybody, if you follow me.
Commissioner suggested during the time of Andrea Jones's testimony that Fadil Adams needs to be charged criminally. But Fadil Adams had something to say regarding that and doesn't really believe that he's supposed to be charged criminally. He started quoting one of the evidence leaders at the Madlanga Commission, which is Advocate Silo, to say that, or advocate for the fact that all of this was not necessary for him to actually end up being charged by the commissioners for not really reporting those classified information or doing something about it in time.
You admit you ought to have been charged for being in possession of these documents.
For someone dropping documents in my office, let me use the reasoning of Advocate Salo. If somebody throws a gun over your fence, and you're sitting in the garden, do you get charged when you report it?
Yeah, but you do report that you're in possession of these documents. You don't just keep quiet about it.
I reported it. That's what the law requires. That's what I'm going to ask South Africa to do two things for me. One, go read Section 9 of the Constitution. Two, go and read the MIS document.
Yeah.
They both declare that you have to report it. I fulfilled my constitutional obligation, and whatever anyone thinks of it, that's none of my business.
Again, you were suspended from Parliament for 20 days last week. Do you believe the timing is just coincidental?
I was charged, I think, in March. I think the outcome was in April. And yeah, just before Madlanga, I get suspended. And you know why I get suspended? I get suspended for publishing an email, and I forgot to crop out someone's telephone number at the bottom, which I think the sanction is fair, given the Poppy Act, yada yada. However, it's the timing of the suspension, because the country is thinking that it's related to Madlanga.
Fadil Adams also expressed that he regrets working with the IDAC because we know that he's opened a case against the IDAC, and he says it's because his matter has been discussed at the Madlanga Commission while investigations are still ongoing. And according to him, all those things were not supposed to be discussed at the Madlanga Commission. Everything was supposed to remain a mystery. People were never supposed to know. The courts were supposed to deal with these things. Fadil Adams, one thing I can say is that he's not learning his lesson. He's continuing with a stubborn behavior. He does not want to change. Actually, he's making matters worse.
The case you've opened against Dylan Perumal and Brian Padiachi, on what basis is that? What are you hoping comes out of that?
I've opened the case against Perumal, Padiachi, and IDAC because my cases were discussed on a public platform while being sub judice. Also, there's allegations internally of docket tampering. I need this thing to be in court. I need this thing to be ventilated, and they must face the judge.
How long were you meant to testify for here at the commission?
Until released, which makes it a little bit hard. Remember, I'm due in Pinetown in 2 days' time.
How long is your affidavit, Fadil?
It's about 70 pages with add-ons. It could be about 300 pages.
And what is so worse is him saying Madlanga was lying. But we find out, because he said that he submitted his affidavit at 6 p.m. yesterday. That's one of the lies that he told, because we found out from the evidence leaders as well as the Madlanga when he was reprimanding him that actually he submitted at 9 p.m. yesterday. Already lies.
They in essence gave me 4 days to complete my submission, but now remember, as I'm trying to complete my submission, people are still mentioning my name left, right and center on TV, so it becomes a little bit hard. So we submitted yesterday at 6 o'clock, which I think is still reasonable. I mean, it's not as if they need to go and find documents. I've given them everything. And then this morning I get here and I'm told by Yusuf that I'm unlikely to testify today, which is disappointing because I've come halfway across the country. I went to bed early, I put on a suit for this, and now I'm told I'm not going to testify today.
The same laptop you are using for your parliamentary business.
It is.
So are you telling us that you are able to function in Parliament with a laptop that's giving you the problems that you are telling us now?
I am struggling with it.
And how are you able to function at Parliament?
Well, half the times I don't. Half the times I have to walk to people for information or call up for information.
Don't you have IT people who can sort out your laptop?
They do sort it out for me regularly. It works for a few days and then it just kicks in again.
I find that very hard to believe, Mr. Adams.
It can be confirmed by Parliament.
I find that very hard to believe.
I would too.
That from October last year is only about 3 months back that you became aware that you got a Rule 3 notice from this commission. I find that very hard to believe. Are you telling us the truth?
100% Justice.
And is this the case also with everything else you received from Parliament? From October last year until about 3 months ago, you did not receive anything from Parliament.
Justice Madlanga, I never said that. I'm saying that the laptop freezes on a daily basis, and therefore if I may, therefore, whenever I take it out my bag, I normally have to go to IT. It will work for a day or two and it will start again. So
You say you never said what I just suggested to you now. If you did not get the Commission's Rule 3 notice from October until only about 3 months ago, that should be true of communications from Parliament as well. It's on that basis that I've just said what I said to you now.
Yes, Justice, that is what I'm agreeing with.
So from October, I thought you were saying that's not what you said.
No, sorry. It's not even from October, Justice. It's been for about 18 months that I'm struggling with this device.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about anything else. I'm concerned about October to today. For you to only give to the Commission communication, or rather your statement, which was required from October of last year, for you to only give that statement to the Commission after 9 p.m. last night. And the only excuse you have is that you have difficulties with your laptop. All right, I don't believe that. I find it hard to believe that. because otherwise you should not be operational at all as a parliamentarian. Okay, let's move on.
He said his laptop is not working and that it has, it has issues. One moment it works, one moment. Hence, he was served with the Rule 3 notice. He was served with the Rule 3 notice, which says you have the right to represent yourself and speak. And the Rule 3 notice, the commissioners decide how you're going to respond to it. Sometimes you can respond through an affidavit like what Julius Malema did. Sometimes you can be summoned to appear at the Madlanga Commission. But the moment you get the Rule 3 notice, you know that any time you might be called to make submissions, either on paper or physically at the Madlanga Commission. Like Andrea Johnson, she has been served this with Rule 3 notice. She knows that either she will appear or she won't appear. But according to Fadiel, he was served last year. And all this time, he had nothing to say. He had nothing to draft because his name kept on popping up. He had nothing to say. And then all of a sudden, yesterday at 6 or 9 p.m., his laptop started working. Then he sent the affidavit through. No, he knew what he was doing. He knew that he doesn't want to testify. And he's going to do anything to stand in the way so that he doesn't testify at the Madlanga Commission. And that is exactly what he did in this particular situation. Fadil Adams, guys, is so important. He's one member of parliament that is just everywhere. He's friends with everybody. I saw pictures of him with McBride. I wouldn't be shocked if he's best friends with Paul O'Sullivan. He's just been those members of parliament, either that is used or that is just everywhere. Because when he was asked if whether he's used, he said he was not used. And, like he's just all over the place. As I've said, I just feel like the exclusive that he had with ENCA was literally not necessary at all. Then parliament said, you are not going to tell me that. I am going to reply because you're not about to taint our names and use the name of parliament for you to run away from accountability. They've came forward and they've said, there is no report. There is nothing that shows that Fadil Adams ever came and reported that his laptop is not working, of which I suspected that it's very, very probable that is the case. I have never seen something like this, especially for a place like platform and for a platform like Parliament, where people are busy with blue lights there. They're living nice. Their accommodation is paid for. He was busy then in Cape Town at the attending ad hoc proceedings. All that time, who was paying for that? He even had the sheer audacity of going to visit the person that unalived Cindy Somaka. Went and visited that person, used parliament resources and said it was a parliament mandate, only to find out that there was no parliament mandate at all. If he can go to those lengths, go and get entourages, arrange offices, arrange flights, get cars, all those things that he has ever received from being a member of parliament, those privileges from being a member of parliament, are you telling me that all of the sudden, out of nowhere, parliament does not have money to buy him a laptop? A laptop, guys, we are not playing. I'm happy that Parliament did clarify and say that all the things that Fadil Adams said about the laptop, they are lies. Because indeed, that is it's improbable. How does he do his work as a member of a political party? How does he do his work as a member of Parliament and a member of the portfolio committee of policing? I'm happy that they came very, very fast because all of that is a lie. I think he lied on podcasts. He can lie on interviews with all these media houses. But at the Madlanga Commission, in front of how many people? 16 to 20,000 that are watching actively, and there's more that are watching after work. You can't lie, bro. People will come and disprove your lies. And I hope he can see already that he needs to know his story, because if that testimony is filled with lies, by the time he finishes, he would have been arrested for perjury. Because already I see a lot of lies. It's like he's taking from his friend there, Andrea Johnson. Hey, these people, they lie. Yes.
To technical support logged for Mr. Adams during the relevant period. And this is the thing. The Records Parliament says do not reflect any reported incident of persistent laptop malfunction, hardware failure, repeated freezing of the device, or the laptop being repeatedly submitted to ICT for repairs. Let's look at the incidents that were recorded during this period. They say it relates mainly to routine user access and account support matters. It includes a Windows password reset. That was in January of 2025, an ERP or meringue password reset in June of 2025, assistance with logging into a device in July of 2025, a Wi-Fi update in January of 2026, another ERP e-disclosure related request in June of 2026. And these matters, Parliament says, were recorded through Parliament's ICT service desk, and they were closed as well. Password resets, authentication or login difficulties, and connectivity configuration are routine ICT support matters and are materially, Parliament says, different from a device being technically dysfunctional or unavailable for an extended period of time. It's also important, and I think I'm going to land it here for the moment, to clarify that Parliament's provision of tools of trade to members is not limited to a single laptop. And I see many of you were questioning this online as well, saying that it's not a single laptop that members are given. Members are provided with multiple ICT devices, according to the statement by Parliament. It includes a laptop, tablet, a smartphone, precisely to support continuing of access and to enable members to perform their parliamentary responsibilities as well. So that clarification, along with this evidence now released by Parliament.
Then I wanted us to move very carefully to, while we're still talking about Fadil Adams, I wanted us to still ask ourselves these questions, because he's coming next week, Wednesday, and we're still going to see how his testimony goes. But one of the questions that keep on lingering in my mind is, who gave him those classified documents? And only he can answer. But it's so, why does it look like it's General Khan, guys, allegedly? Why does it look like Khan is a suspect? Because I'm allowed, guys, to make presumptions and assumptions, and as much as I'm a YouTuber and I should be sticking to facts, but I'm a human being like you, and I'm an intellectually minded freak like you, and I like making my own assumptions and conspiracy theories. So I'm suspecting that Khan might be involved somewhere, somehow. I'll be shocked if Khan is involved. Then I wanted us to look at the other members of Parliament before we can actually go to Ramsamy, and that is Darlene James and Ian Cameroon, as well as Miss Cola Bernard.
Commissioners, as I'm outlining again here, I've said when I started, we investigate the picture image that calls for further investigation. So this commission is here to help us answer the question of how involved are the politicians and other private people, including police officers, how are they involved in interrupting the work of the security cluster in administering this criminal justice system. This is part one that you're going to see at the end, how Mr. Adams' action is impacting to the work that the team is doing.
And I think those were especially Adams and Cola Bernard, those were the two members that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi told us about in the beginning, that they were so involved in crime intelligence matters that classified information. But we are finding out that even Member of Parliament Darlene James also had information, even though she has heavily denied that profusely. And also we are hearing that an Ian Cameroon somehow is also involved in trying to dethrone Masemula from the position and working with IDAC. Even though there is no evidence that Cameroon has done that, but he came forward snapping, saying that he's so disappointed that Ramsamy has spoken like that and didn't expect that a legal practitioner or prosecutor in her caliber will just go around throwing those allegations without any proof and evidence. So in this situation, what I see is that already two members of the DA are implicated, and I'm worried that in most cases, when it's people like Julius Malema and others, they trend for days. But I don't know why we are not worried that two members of the DA literally implicated in all this drama. Two members of the DA somehow have received information or have been in cahoots with crime intelligence. I just don't know what is going on. But for me, it's really, really worrying.
I mean, there's not much to address. It's hearsay. She, from what I understand, is a prosecutor and should know better than to just distribute hearsay. Bring the evidence. If I need to answer, I'll gladly answer. You know me by now. I've got a very long public record of doing oversight, and I'll continue to do that. If any law enforcement authority comes to me and says, can you confirm the following information, and I have to give a statement to do so, I'll gladly do it. I did it with the PKTT. I've done it with many others. I've recently met with the DPCI again, and I'll continue to do my job without fear or favor. One thing I can tell you is that I'm not going to be intimidated or slowed down by people trying to pull me into political sideshows or cheap shots. I take this job very seriously, and I think we owe it to South Africa to ensure that we stay focused on really cleaning the rot in the criminal justice system.
Firstly, we know that Miss Collar Bernard also, it was said that she received some classified information and she tried to use that information to destroy crime intelligence and everything that is going on there with crime intelligence and the SAPS. Now we are hearing that here Ian Cameroon played a role somehow with trying to interfere or work with the IDAC to dethrone or deal with Fani Masemola as the National Police Commissioner. He was part of that orchestration that they wanted to do, the IDAC was busy doing, to try and destroy Khumalo as well as Masemola.
Mr. Cameron's affidavit.
It's safe to say that I didn't say that he was part of the narrative or he had included himself in the narrative. My statement was very clear. The inference I drew from all the events that transpired leading to his affidavit and me being informed about his affidavit, as well as the fact that there's a message between Mr. Perumal and Ms. Advocate Johnson indicating that he's on board. So the inference I drew was what I stated.
Then we have Fadil Adams, of which I've already spoken about him. Then we have Helen James, of which I'm so disappointed, very much disappointed that she's implicated. And she's also denied that, yes, I've received the information, instead I went to IPED. Yes, I was called by IDAC, but instead I did the right thing and went to IPED. And I think still, you never said anything. You came across as a genuine person. At the ad hoc committee, she was one of the most amazing members of parliament, coming with all the evidence, dropping the bombs. I thought she knows her business, because you can't be dropping people's bombs and you have your own dirty laundry. Like, it's so shocking. But that's what happened with her. And I was so disappointed the fact that she's implicated. I don't know what you guys think about our members of parliament being so implicated in all of this. It's such a disappointing sight to look at, and a disappointing thing that we are hearing every day at the Madlanga Commission. I just can't believe my ears most of the times.
I did not receive any documentation from anyone. I did not receive any documentation, classified information under my door. I did not lodge a case with IPED or with IDAC. I didn't meet with them. What happened was on the 13th of January 2025, I saw an online article, I think it was by News 24, claiming that crime intelligence has purchased an hotel to the value of, I think it was over 20 million. And I immediately alerted my staff and I said, let's probe. This is something that IPED needs to investigate. I then issued a statement, and that is it. That's where all of that ended. A couple of days later, I received a phone call from investigating officer Perumal, and he introduced himself as being from the NPA, from IDAC, and he advised me not to continue. He said that he saw that I have intentions of opening up a case, and he advised me not to, go the route of IPED, but rather come through and meet with them and lodge an affidavit with him or a statement with him. I did not meet with them. I'm not even sure why. I didn't submit any statement with anyone. If anything, they need to tell me. General Perumal, Investigating Officer Perumal needs to tell me who told him that I am sitting with classified information and that I received documents under my door, because that is a blatant lie.
But let me hear what you guys think about all this implication that involves the members of parliament. Now let us move to Ramsamy. So Ramsamy started by talking about Ian Cameroon and clarifying that, there were minutes and it looks like the IDAC leaders did meet with Ian Cameroon, but it's not really clear because she never really met with Ian Cameroon. But there was that plot to make Masamula to go at the parliament and asked in a way be trapped about an investigation, and he will lie because he doesn't know about that investigation, and when he lies then he'll be charged for perjury. So they really wanted Masamula behind bars and they wanted to use the parliament for that. Now it's not clear whether Mr. Ian Cameroon actually played along or what happened. But I think only evidence and time will tell, and Perumal is the perfect person to give us the answers that we are looking for. Let us talk about the matters of Dino Mukwele as well. So she testified that there was a Section 28(1) of Dino Mukwele, but it was not signed. And while it was not signed, she was not around when this matter was even heard in court. They just used her signature and they just submitted the document. Even though that was her document initially, she's the one who drafted the document, but because she got sick, she had to leave. And that document was then continued by her colleagues, and they still published it or submitted it as if it was her. And that's one of the things that were so problematic, which means that Section 28(1) was not properly authorized. And then one of the things that we are finding out is that Advocate Andrea Johnson was not really happy about how Serena was asking questions, and was so disappointed that how Hlatshwayo and Ramsamy failed to explain to Serena that the charges that are concerning this case of Dino Mukwele and the cause, which is Dumisani Khumalo, were really about state capture and racketeering. And state capture, we know that it was that one of the future, the quo pro quo, the future charges that, there might be, what do they call it? Gratification in the future. And it looks like the authority was the Silebi case, that they've done something like that in the Silebi case. Therefore, they could do something like that in this particular case. But that's the thing. Amongst all of this, one of the things that are very questionable about this investigation against these officials of the crime intelligence is that they prematurely acted, and their investigations were not really that rich. And even Serena was asking questions, as I've said already, and them asking questions just shows that their case was quite weak. So they had to find different things for them to actually deal with this case and ensure that they have a very strong case, especially considering that Abokumalo is starting to come with strong counsels, and they had to now also have a very strong case. And that's when we start seeing the very first charge sheet, which was charge sheet that said, where Serena said there was no crime of corruption when he looked at it properly. And that was when we saw the amendment and the second sheet, which was of conspiracy, which was beefed up so that it can amount to corruption. Because the first one, the corruption one, was not really that good, but they had to cook another one which had the corruption, but this time it was a conspiracy, some type of conspiracy. Then the charge was corruption again, but beefed up this time.
And this is on the 1st of September. So at this point, there was no finalized charge sheet yet. And yet they have been arrested. Can you just explain what happened?
After Advocate Serena came on board and he was listening to us and we were explaining that there's no crime of corruption, he also picked it up when he read it. And that's how the second charge sheet, it was at this point that the second charge sheet of Section 21, conspiracy, was drafted.
What Advocate Serena referred to as the amended charge sheet.
Correct.
Yes, correct. I see. Thank you.
And on page 77, there's another entry in reference to the charge sheet. So at the bottom of the page, just before the arrow that says Mukwele's docket, it says, I can't see the first word, it says just have to beef up charge sheet in equal corruption. 77.
We just have to.
Do you see it?
Yes. Beef up charge sheet, equal corruption, Mukwele's docket.
So part of the discussion here was to beef up the Mokwele charge sheet to the corruption charge in the Mokwele charge sheet.
With regards to this conversation, it was more the investigators telling the prosecutors what evidence is there to beef up the charge sheets.
And we see that while they realized that, okay, we still need more, they then started going to the Inspector General of Intelligence, IMITS, I forgot his full name. It's IMITS Fazal, but that is the Inspector General of Intelligence. They went to them, they're like, you know what, can you please help us? We want a meeting with you guys. And this is what they shared with Advocate Govinda. They need certain information about crime intelligence. But that's the thing, they were also busy with their own investigation and said that they can't share that findings information with them because they are also busy with the investigations, they're busy with consultations of the witnesses and everything that they were busy with. But as soon as it's complete, then they can share with them. Remember, this is a classified document.
Says based on certain complaints. She was unable to give me any witness names. She explained safety as well as different mandates. So Mr. Perumal got agitated to a point where Advocate Govinda even said to him, your cowboy tactics is not going to work on these cases. We left that meeting. It was, I did say it was a fruitless meeting because we couldn't assist them and they couldn't assist us.
Then they came back, reported that to Andrea Johnson. Perumal was part of the meeting. He was definitely not happy about all of this. He was seriously agitated. But that's the thing. They know the minister. The minister is the savior, the highest form of political interference, the king of the kings of political interference, the man who knows is untouchable, the man who knows that no matter how many reports can come out of the Madlanga Commission, no matter how many recommendations can be sent by President Cyril Ramaphosa, he's not going anywhere. Yes, he knew that clearly because now he came and saved the day because he made sure that that IGI report is provided and someone flies to give the IDAC that IGI report when they were told initially that they're still busy investigations. But just like that, Perumal changed the gears and spoke to the minister and things happened. And that is when we see that they had this IGI report and it was sent by Perumal to Ramsamy via WhatsApp. And there's a procedure. That's one of the things that Ramsamy was emphasizing, that there's a procedure for such things to be done. You can't just do them the way you like. But here we see them just doing them the way they like because, it is the minister somehow. And I asked myself, Minister of Justice, was she aware of all of this? One thing about Senzo Mchunu, he was everywhere. And I wouldn't be shocked if Mamuluko actually knew. These ANC cadres, guys, they are just something else, these ANC cadres. They are just something else, and they'll cover for each other, they'll protect each other, come what. But we'll see as time goes by if whether Mamuloko Kubai knew about this IGI being given to, the IGI report being given to Senzo Mchunu and Senzo Mchunu sending someone to give it to IDAC instead of following the proper procedure because this report has to be first finalized. And when they went there, it was not finalized. So it has to first be finalized because it's top secret document. And they have to clarify which parts can be made public and which parts cannot be made public. Which parts they can have access to and which parts they cannot have access to. But because Ronali, Senzo Mchunu is making things move. He has the keys. He opens all the doors. As long as you pay when you connect, when you are fine as long as you have him.
In January. There's certain procedures and processes that must be followed in order for that information sharing. I had also spoken to Advocate Lowe, the deputy director who's retired now. He was dealing with a matter that IGI and him or that team were sharing information. There were channels that had to be followed in order for that information to be shared.
And did Mr. Perumal say whether Advocate Johnson was aware that he had gotten the report from the minister?
Yes, in my notes, there's, in one of the notes, there is note, just a note down that says Dylan must call IG. But in this meeting, Mr. Perumal indicated very clearly that the ID is aware that the minister has arranged for this report to be flown to me.
And we know that one of the things that was contained there, because they said that that's a like 77 pages document. I don't know how Madlanga is going to go through that. I don't know if they're just going to do it behind closed doors without us even seeing. But one of the things that Perumal said about this report, he said it's golden. Meaning that, you know, it has all the top secret. It has all what they're looking for them to clamp down these crime intelligence officers. But I want to believe that clearly it didn't have enough, because why were the charges dropped if it had enough? Why were the charges dropped?
Was Mr. Perumal saying that it is supportive of IDAC's investigation and the charges that you were pursuing against the crime intelligence officials?
His words were, it's golden.
Now let's talk about the bail conditions, especially the bail appeal and all that process. With the bail conditions, immediately when they heard that Advocate Mshololo is part of it, they started the panic, because they didn't want these people actually to go back to work. Even though it's still not clear as to who suggested those bail conditions, but we know that at the center of this is Andrea Johnson, who was denying that she was aware of these bail conditions, and as well as Padiache, who actually also denied that he knows of these bail conditions or anything like that. But after the Lushaba matter, and the second magistrate said that, yeah, this is insane. You can't be imposing bail conditions to someone for someone to not go to the office. You are literally violating the employer's rights. So after that, Abo Perumal, they started with the panic. They say they started with the panic because that section 63 was starting to work against them, in the favor of these crime intelligence officers. So they knew that they are losing the battle little by little. And one of the things that Advocate Ramsamy spoke about is how the behavior of Andrea Johnson is like, especially in such cases. And how when she has a problem with someone, she just wants to investigate them. And here we see how this lady whom the husband was reporting to, which is Junaid Johnson, was reporting to this lady. And she's Brigadier Krishna Dat. I think she's the head of the vetting department. And she started speaking bad about her, saying, hey, she's going around shouting at all workers and all of that, only to find out that Andrea Johnson's husband is supposed to account to the lady. So they wanted dirt on her, and they wanted to actually find her and charge her. And it looks like at some point, somehow, even Shamila Matoi was allowing for all of this. And, you know, they will just be playing at the tune of Andrea Johnson and Perumal. Whatever that they wanted will happen, including Yena Shamila Matoi with the NTPP as the NTPP.
So I was taken aback because I was busy taking notes, and I didn't know that they were talking about the person who's acting as in Mr. Khan's place. It's a Miss Krishna Dutt.
General Khan's position.
Sure,
yes,
correct. It's a Miss Krishna Dutt.
Brigadier Krishna Dutt.
Thank you. So Advocate Johnson says, Drew, you'll be embarrassed to be Indian. The way she walks around talking to the staff, you'll be embarrassed. And then I'm told that I must, when I'm getting to the point of looking at the evidence for the vetting, because Brigadier Krishna Dutt is acting as the head of the vetting department at the moment, I must look if there's evidence to charge Krishna Dutt.
As part of CI7 in the Mokwele matter?
Either CI7 or the other two.
Okay, so one of the vetting matters.
That is why it's there in that block the way it is.
And who is Brigadier Krishna Dutt?
So from that conversation in Advocate Johnson's office, Advocate Johnson then said, when she was explaining how Brigadier Krishna Dutt speaks to this staff and why I'd be embarrassed and all of that, she indicated Junaid is reporting to her. So at that time, I already knew that Junaid is Mr. Johnson, Advocate Johnson's husband.
And anyone that they wanted to take down, they'll take down. This is exactly what they did, if you guys remember, with Gaminde. They did the same thing. But today we found out that Gaminde actually called them and said, I mean, guys, I know you guys are investigating me. Actually, you guys want even my banking details dating back to 2018. But you know what? All this information, I got it from Rapesu. But we heard from Rapesu that all of this was a lie. It was something that was orchestrated to actually remove him from his investigations. Actually, it looks like the plan was actually to remove him altogether from IDAC. I don't know what stopped their plan, but the way I read between the lines, it looks like that's what they wanted to do, but they failed. Now that is why they started having these calls. Kabila started having these calls to snitch up on Rapesu. Why would he do that? You don't just snitch up on your people that are giving you sources and information. You don't do that. And we're also finding out about Sisoko and the fact that, his leg was in, his leg was out one moment, and he was assisting somewhere somehow, and that he failed to take action most of the times, including that particular incident that involved Padiache and Ramsamy, and how Padiache came across as very violent toward Ramsamy, Prosecutor Ramsamy. This incident was never reported, and, he didn't do anything as their boss and as someone who was chairing that meeting when that altercation happened. So it looks like he was a man who failed and lacked that decision-making type of skill. He didn't have it at all. Then I wanted to close off this video. So the last thing that they spoke about was the Medicare 24 tender. I don't really want to talk about the tender right now in this particular video because I think Advocate is still going to give us more information. Prosecutor Ramsamy is still going to give us more information regarding the Medicare 24. But what we are realizing so far is that there was no Section 27 referral, but already they wanted to draft an application. Because remember, one of the people that they wanted behind bars for this case is who? Fadi Masemula. Yes, you got it right. So... but there's just a lot of irregularities with the investigation when it comes to Medicare 24. But I think she couldn't finish that part because she was not feeling well. So we'll see how she finishes that part on Friday. Then we'll have a much better understanding of what is going on with the Medicare 24 investigation, which is Vusumuzikan Makala's tender, which was also, referred to as the Tembisa contract, which is very weird. Very, very weird. And also the fact that all of this, the investigations and everything started after Andrea Johnson and Senzo Mkunu's meeting of the 22nd of January 2025, which was after the disbandment of the PKTT. So we're still going to find out. We're still going to hear more. We're still going to hear explosives and bombs, Fadil Adams bombs. But yeah, all I can say is that very interesting information, very interesting testimony by Prosecutor Ramsamy. And we will see if whether Fadil Adams will actually end up making it at Madlanga Commission. But my assumption is that even if he makes it, he will barely survive. But that is just me, guys. I know some of you would put me into account on the comment section, ask me, where is the video you promised us? I told you guys about my dog, which held the cable. So the people did fix, I think it was on Saturday, but we know we had a long weekend, Women's Day weekend. And I had to do the things of women, guys. I had a very busy weekend, and we had like a really amazing event that we were planning. So that's what I was busy with. Hence, I couldn't upload any videos. I couldn't do anything. My plan is that at least during weekends we'll do some catch up. To those who want to go through catch up with me, we'll go through the catch up together, guys, but on weekends, because if I'm going to try force to have them during weekdays, I don't think it will work, because weekdays, guys, there's just a lot happening. So if I'm gonna force that, I think I will end up failing. So my best bet would be if I upload mostly on weekends, those catch-up episodes, so that at least we are all up to date. Okay. Nonetheless, guys, let me hear your thoughts. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And don't forget to tell your friends, tell your cousins, everybody that I am on YouTube. And drop your comments. Tell us what you think, what's going on in your mind. What do you think about Ramsamy? And what do you think about Fadiel? And what do you think about these members of parliament? Hey, we have corrupt members of parliament. Hey, let me end the video. Bye, guys.